All right, we're recording now. And so, all right, here we go. All right, again, 1,000 pardons for being late, but I'll be quick and I won't go through all this. Y'all read all this. You know that we're doing case study 16A, and here were directions and things that you were supposed to do. All right. Who's going to start first?
Doesn't matter.
With the group presentation.
I think the other ladies group went first time, so I'm more than happy if Rusty, myself, Hazim, and DeAndre goes. I seen DeAndre was logged on, but I didn't hear his voice.
All right. So who needs the remote control in order to put up their work?
I will take it if you don't mind.
All right. All right. Let's see. All right. Okay, Brittany, you ought to be able to take control now and show us what's on your screen.
All right, perfect. Let me pull up this PowerPoint. DeAndre, can you hear us? I think he's logged in, but I don't think he can.
I think he's on the phone.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can hear us.
All right. And so if we can't hear his voice, I'll be happy to do his part.
All right.
All right. So case study 16A, team diagnosis and intervention, presented by Hazim Al-Mamani, Rusty Graham, DeAndre Howard, and myself. So, y'all know that I like cartoons, so
okay, so
I think this is...
I'm sorry to interrupt. What you're going to need to do is go to your control panel and do share screen and see if it'll let you, because it's waiting for you to take control of the...
Okay.
So you're going to have to do a screen share.
It won't let me.
Uh-oh.
It says you cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing. Maybe I should give up the remote control, and I gave up the remote control. That way, if you need to stop sharing, you can.
All right, so go to, let me do stop share. All right, now let me see if manage participants. I'm gonna do. All right, you are viewing Brittany's screen. There we go.
Yay! All right, so take two. This is case study 16A, team diagnosis and intervention, presented by Hazim Al-Mamani, Rusty Graham, DeAndre Howard, and myself. So presentation outline, y'all know that I really like cartoons, and since this kind of embraces quantitative and qualitative data, I thought this cartoon was a little bit funny. I think it says something to the effect of the client would prefer fewer open-ended questions, so kind of focusing there on the value of quantitative. So we're going to present case overview, the questions for discussion, which were at the beginning, data analysis, the central problem, some issues in this case, suggestions for the issues, questions, and references. So I'm going to begin with doing the case overview. I will also talk about data analysis. Rusty will discuss some of the questions for discussion and the central problem. Hazim will wrap us up with issues in this case, suggestions for the issues, and take questions if indicated. So, case overview. An essential question we need to ask prior to delving into this case study is, what is a team? I found this definition very interesting, so here's an idea about that. A team is a small number of people with complementary skills committed to a common purpose, performance goals, and approach for which they hold themselves mutually accountable. This definition kind of reminded me about what Dr. Lamb talked about whenever he hosted us at the clubhouse last week. He said that the members that are on the board, which is a team, in my opinion, each has a certain skill set. Everyone's pretty much got a common purpose and goals that they want to do. So this really just kind of embraces that definition. And if we all recall after reading this case, there's some issues and some questions if we're really dealing with a team or not. And so basically this case is a summary of the team's mean response results on a team diagnostic survey. There are also qualitative findings presented by open-ended responses made by team members. The tasks at hand are to identify the central problem, analyze the data, and then formulate a plan of action, which we will discuss. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Rusty Graham, who's going to begin with questions for discussion.
Well, after looking at the data, we looked at it, and we kind of kept it pretty straightforward. What do you believe is happening to the team? They're having issues with communication and perception, even the possibility they're a little cliquish. There are at least two different views of this team, and I believe you'd actually find that in about every team you've ever been involved in. There always seems to be a group that feels like they're the ones that are having to do the majority of the work and the other people are negative, and a group that's negative that always feels like they wish they were part of the team. And I just thought it was interesting as we were looking at the numbers that, you know, this seems to happen a lot more than we think. Okay. You know, we talked about what do the team members say are the team's strengths. They understand how they contribute to the organization's goals, and the team goals are expressed well. Everyone agreed that they were definitely more goal-oriented, but I think they lost some of the fuzzy information in the middle. What do the team members say are the team's areas of improvement? The definitely was conflict management and group communication. They were pointing to how they felt like there was not a lot of group encouragement, and they felt like there was definitely some gatekeepers holding back some information. Which, if you've been in any organization for an amount of time, you would have to agree that there are times when you feel like people are holding information from you. And for most of us, it probably drove us a little batty.
They treat you like mushrooms.
Exactly. They keep you in the dark and feed you shit. I know. I've been working on a team all day today. This number 3 or this?
Yeah, it's
Continue for me. How would you prioritize opportunities for improvement? We definitely talked about there needs to be more consensus decision making. Basically allowing information to flow a little bit more freely, and definitely adding a little bit more time to the meeting itself. We've all been in meetings where the leader was so busy leading the meeting that nothing actually got discussed. They were moving from discussion to discussion without any true discussion. What we're talking about here is actually allowing a little bit more time, and actually maybe the leader himself more manage the time slightly instead of trying to direct the conversation. Okay? And giving them just more time to actually discuss usually helps people. And we actually discussed a little bit about group reassignment that may occur to allow less active members to be prepared with more active members. A lot of times when there's a perception of people not performing well or feeling like they're not part of a group, putting them with one of the high performers, the people they think are the insiders, actually motivates them. It also gives them an opportunity to highlight their skill set that may never have been shown. If they don't have an opportunity to actually show it, then how would anyone know? Okay. How would you present the data in a team feedback session? Well, we talked about the leaders to organize a retreat with all team members to tackle these areas of improvement and seek feedback via SWOT analysis with a casual setting. We're thinking that if the group actually gets together and talks about their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, they'll realize they have far more in common, and it may be a more team pulling together exercise for them. Sometimes going through the process is all that's needed to create a team, or definitely to refresh them. I think we all agreed that the real story is an open-ended question. It gauged the group's feelings far better than the closed-ended Likert scale questions. You know, these responses should be highlighted. And I think it does kind of highlight some of the issues that we see when some of the people felt like they were on the outside looking in, or that the leader was going to make a decision and just tell them what it was instead of allowing them to discuss it. Likert scale questions will be used to show that the group actually agrees on the issues. You know, all of it's truthfully qualitative data, so treat it as such. And definitely try to show them that even though it's soft data, and I guess that would be more in my opinion, how you feel at the moment, feelings change, that you definitely could bring the team back together.
All right. I'm going to fill in for DeAndre. This was really, he was the mastermind in behind this plan. The question was, what development intervention or interventions would you recommend? Design an intervention plan, including an agenda, timeline, and any activities you would suggest. So, at the retreat, he felt that the following items would be discussed for intervention: a welcome and introduction, set expectations, do a team building activity. You know, we've been exposed to those different types of activities, and I don't know if you all recall, I believe it was 2 semesters back now, in Dr. Hamilton's class where we did that marshmallow STEM challenge. You know, something like that that connects people to their other teammates, and like to further build off of what Rusty said, to help strengthen them. Revisit mission statement, goals, and objectives. And I believe that that might be something that Hazim will discuss with you in regards to issues. Do a SWOT analysis and look at all the action items. What are our strengths, our weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? Do some professional development opportunities on what the team members want, what they need. Something that's engaging and something that will help them along the way. Revisit or reestablish expectations from team member to team member, from team member to management, and management to team members. Then take a reflection of the day and see what's going to happen with moving forward. And then have a celebration, recognition, and closing, or anything else that is necessary. And some further suggested interventions were: longer meetings should begin as soon as possible. Making sure that the team is effective in getting from point A to point B. Recommend some more communication between the leader and all team members, such as group email, have meetings in person, etc. Reorganize group members on projects to try to allow less active members a chance to be more active, and also allow the other members a chance to lead meetings to try to get the group consensus. Show that everyone can and will work together. And so I'm going to begin talking about data analysis. In this case, we had results from a short team diagnostic survey revealed. And looking at those survey results, as well as the open-ended questions, we've got 4 outstanding trends that were really noticed. First one being an obvious division. Second one, low morale. Thirdly, ambivalence about team effectiveness and a lack of conflict resolution. And so here are those 4 factors, and then here's some evidence that leads up to this. The team is cliquish. There's a core group of them that excludes the rest of us. If there's a core group and then there's the group that's excluded, that's an obvious division.
Make a legal use.
And then secondly, it says this is a fine team to be on if you are a member of John's inner circle. Otherwise, you will be ignored. So it's either with John or away from John, whoever John may be. So that's also reiterates the obvious division. Secondly, low morale. Item number 11 on the survey. It says team members encourage each other to do their best. 6 out of 12. Okay, y'all, this is 50% of the group selected either disagree or strongly disagree, and 4 selected neutral. So there's 4 on the fence that's really not feeling it either way, but then we've got half the group that is saying team members basically don't encourage each other to do their best, would that not contribute to the low morale? And here's another statement that kind of reinforced that feeling. We don't support each other as a team. I don't think anyone has my back if I'm struggling. To be honest, I don't trust a single one of them. Think about that. What kind of work environment is that? What kind of environment is that to get a project done? Where's the teamwork? I rest my case with that. Item number 3, ambivalence about team effectiveness. Item number 1 on the survey, the mission of this team is clear. 2 out of 12 disagreed and 2 were neutral. Wouldn't it be everyone would agree if the mission was clear? If we thought, let's think about our cohort. If we said our mission is to become an excellent educator after receiving our doctorate, would we not know what our mission was? If not, maybe you could at least take a guess at it. But we've got 2 out of 12 disagreeing here, so there's not a full consensus of what's going on. And item number 5, it says, I'm proud to be a member of this team. 4 out of 12 selected either disagree or strongly disagree, and 1 member's neutral. Okay, so that's 5 people. That's not quite half the group, but it's, maybe around 40% or so. Imagine that chunk of your team that's not proud of what they're doing. How are you going to get them to stay? How are they going to be able to be effective? How are they going to be able to work? And lastly, number 4, a lack of conflict resolution. Item number 9, team members handle conflicts openly. 5 out of 12 either selected disagree or strongly disagree, and then you've got 5 that are neutral, neither agree nor disagree. So that's 10 people. And they can't say with certainty that the conflict can be handled openly. So it makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes. And one of the qualitative findings kind of supported that as well. One of the open-ended statements was, we wait until John makes decisions and announces them rather than taking the initiative. I would like to see us make more decisions by consensus. So there's one main person, and it would be easy to point fingers at John and be like, he's a bully, he's got his clique. But on the other hand, is he the only one taking initiative? Is he the only one that's challenging himself to take lead of the group? What kind of strengths and weaknesses are we working with here? And I don't think it would be a bad idea for this team to read strength finders. I think that would be beneficial for them as well. And so here we have it, the central problem.
Okay. The central problem seems to be centered around the team's inability to encourage each other, handle conflicts, and have pride in the organization. In reality, like always, we look at the central problem and we look and we see it's what? Communication in some way, shape, or form. Okay? The manager needs to step in and provide oversight and mediation when needed. That's our solution to our little central problem.
And now we're going to turn it over to Hazim, who will discuss issues in this case.
Okay, how are you, everybody?
Good.
You hear me? Yeah, I'm just first wondering about DeAndre. He's driving and he's also watching us, and at the same time he's drinking something. So be careful and drive safe. So I believe the situation. Yeah, I believe the situation with DeAndre is the same of this team or this group. They have too many things, but they have nothing actually to do in their situation at that time. So here it's for me it's not a team because the team should be, they have a plan, they have something to do, and when they meet each other, they already know their parts in one project, in one goal or something. But here I can see something like maybe we can summarize all of these issues in one word, which is heterogeneous team. If it's a team, it's heterogeneous. So one or more than one of them have a diverse orientation. So, for example, the open questions, number 6, we have something they talk about effective, if it's effective or no. It's not that high, but also if the goal is clear or no, this is high. And they need someone to encourage them to do their parts. And I don't think so. The teams, they need somebody to encourage them to do their parts. They should have the skills to do their parts without any support from anyone else. If you can do this, you have to do it. If you can, they should let you go, and they should hire another one to do that part. Also, you can like it's like a declaration. It's like it's not a team. It's just someone brings some people work with the one unit and they declare something. It's like a declaration for something, not a decision making. Not to discuss what we have to do. If you bring some ideas on the table and okay, we have to do, it's just a declaration. This is what you have to do. So some of them, they didn't understand the differences between to be a leader or to be a manager. Some of them, they think to be a leader, you have to listen to others' ideas. Maybe these ideas will just waste their time. To be a leader, you have to do the right things, not the things that the job requirements enforce you to do. You have to build your rights in your way. Also here we have another issues. It's the morally is very low because the heterogeneous between these people, and also we can see something from if you belong to the inner circle around the manager of that group. You are fine, and they will listen to you. Means you have to be around the ideology of that guy, or you have to be close to his ideas. So you can share your ideas if it's close to his ideas. Means also they didn't prepare for this this meeting, and this meeting is just like to create a future team for something else. The last things, Brittany, what we have, the last thing. And why them they have this mess, all of this mess? Because they don't have code of ethics. Actually, they need to build their code of ethics. So each of them will know his or her responsibilities among these kind of meetings, and also they need to revisit the job requirements. Some of them, they work in under specific circumstances, but they don't know what they should do. And what's else? So again, this is just a declaration, a meeting for somebody to declare something for another's. It's not a decision making to be approved or something, someone to ask you, we want to make some decisions. It's just this meeting, just I want to let you know what you have to do in the future. So again, I believe the survey, it's useless. It's not important, but just they show me that the meeting also just useless, and they waste their time. Because in one of them, they said we accomplish our goals, and at the same time they have like unclear goals actually, because they have no plan, maybe they have no vision. Okay, any questions? Any questions?
Very good.
Very good.
Very
All right,
good.
let me ask you folks a question. Rusty said something in his presentation.
Good job.
Very true. He said,
All right.
this is quality
Any other questions?
off data. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you barely, DeAndre.
All right, no, it's Dale.
Can you guys hear me?
Let me get over here to my computer over here. Rusty said in his presentation that this survey, while quantitative, is soft data, and in the interview follow up. In light of that, what should we look at in terms of quantitative data to make a determination as to what we do with John? See, scores like this look bad if you're not achieving your goals on your hard numbers, your sales goals, your customer satisfaction, your test scores, whatever the mission of your organization, whatever that measure is, the real hard numbers, the quantitative numbers. If you're making those, things like this don't matter as much. If you're not making those, soft data like this matters a lot. This is a prime example of the teacher working conditions survey in public schools. If you've got a school that's high performing academically, nobody cares that the feedback on the teacher working conditions survey is poor like this. But if you're not making your scores, then it matters. So, as always, what are we supposed to look at first when we're doing a program evaluation?
Quantitative.
Quantitative first, and then we look for qualitative to tell us why or to try to explain those. So when we say what should we do with John, well, we can't say what we would do with John unless we know what first? Our hard numbers. Good point Rusty made there. This is just soft data. First thing that we would really do for real is we'd look at our hard data first. So I've had groups in the past say, oh, John ought to get a pass, and some say we ought to shoot John. I mean, and everything in between. We ought not just fire him, we ought to shoot him as well.
There's not enough information to make
There's
that
not
call.
enough, exactly. Qualitative is not enough information, in my estimation, to be making personnel decisions. You need your hard data first. Don't ever forget that. Y'all did a great job on this. But in the context of, if we knew our hard numbers up front, this wasn't we'll get too excited about this. If we knew our hard numbers up front, we would have a better idea of what we could do.
Yeah. Some of the other important.
Yeah.
Yeah. some of the other employees might just be bench warmers. They might not have any initiative whatsoever, and John might be trying to engage the group and make things happen. You don't know.
You don't know
And then,
that.
of course, yeah, they're going to have a bad attitude towards him because, you know, if they see him working and doing something, then they might be intimidated by him. So we don't know. We need to look at the other numbers.
We got to look at the market.
And then I think one thing that I would like to add is that we really don't know how many employees are in the organization. So when we got those numbers of, you know, from these surveys, that may very well not be a significant number of employees to even derive data from.
That's right.
That's right. If you don't have a representative sample, you don't have significance. That's exactly right.
Exactly.
There might be 120 employees, 12 responded. Is that a representative sample? 10%?
Exactly.
You know, so it's not significant. We'd never we could run the numbers on this. We'd never achieve a significance. You know, where we're fighting. The type 1 era here. At 10%, we're never going to get significance. We're never going to be less than 5% error. Can't do it. So we don't. But see, statistics that they base decisions on the qualitative stuff without the quantitative context.
Like Judge Judy.
Yep, they're Judge Judy.
Can't be that way. I remember I've got a neighbor here. Well, he lives here at Lake Norman, and I see him from time to time. His name is Marty Schottenheimer. Does anybody know who Marty Schottenheimer is?
No.
He was a football coach in the National Football League. He's a secretary and a friend of Joe Gibbs, who also lives here. But Marty Schottenheimer coached San Diego Chargers. It's been 20, 25 or more years ago. And they went 14-2. They won 2 games and lost 2. But they lost their first playoff game in the playoffs. But it was the second round. They got a bye in the first round. So they weren't playing a pushover team. So they ended the season 14-3. They lost the game in the conference championship. Let me say that again. He lost in the conference championship in San Diego, which nobody has done before or since, and he got fired. And the excuse that was given is that it was all qualitative stuff. Well, the players didn't like him, you know, the front office this. It was all like junior high. Their franchise has been doing. That's the thing. You make a mistake based on qualitative data. You didn't look at the numbers like you should have and understood the numbers like you should have. You may doom your organization for the next quarter century. And way, way too many people is in charge, especially in nonprofits. Jump right on that quality. Very good presentation. Very good. Give them a round of applause. Yay. All right. So we're ready for group 2 here?
Yes. Barbara, can you pull it up? Or Mindy, can one of you guys pull it up? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mandy, do you have it?
Yeah.
Pulled up?
Hold on just one moment.
Hey, Miss Pat.
Hey, sweetie.
Hey, Miss Barbara.
Hey.
Hi, everybody. How y'all doing?
Right.
That's good.
That, that,
I see how you trying to slide in a piece of your presentation with me drinking my Starbucks. I heard that.
you're just celebrating because you're a homeowner now.
Yes, I am. About time.
Congratulations.
For you. Good for you.
Thank y'all.
Okay, I have it.
Okay.
Rusty and I are actually at our house right now, so maybe whenever we get finished, if y'all want to, we could take you for a walkthrough with the
A virtual
laptop.
tour.
Yeah,
I would
virtual
like
tour.
that.
That'd be
I don't
good.
have Wi-Fi. I don't even have electricity yet.
Okay, I have the PowerPoint.
Okay, so I'm going to switch you to you.
Yes.
Okay, I'm now the host. NC Bliss, you're now the host.
So letting you share, Mindy?
All right, NC Bliss has started sharing the screen. There we go.
Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Excellent.
I have two monitors, so I was just double checking.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Okay. All right. Is that the okay. All right. That looks good. Okay, well, we're the second group that is going to present. And first, what I would like to say is, one of the questions, the first question is, what do you believe to be happening on this team? And frankly, I think the team is a good team with great potential, but they do have some flaws, which shows a disconnection within the group. Now, the survey was necessary. It really was, guys. The survey was necessary in order for leadership to see the areas of strength as well as weaknesses within the team. Now, this is probably one team that is comprised of 12 men and women on this team. Their survey was given to this particular team, which probably are doing extremely well. I would not be surprised that if this team, not only did they make their salary, but they probably was bonus level. But when we looked at the averages, when we looked at their strengths and their weaknesses, this is what we came up with. Now, their weakness averaged to a 2.4. And that is that the team members encourage each other to do their best. Well, that was a weakness. Another weakness, the average was 2.7. And it states that the team members handle conflicts openly. That was a weakness. And then the next weakness, which was an average of 3.0. And it says, I am proud to be a member of this team. So those are the three lowest averages. We define this as their weaknesses. Now we're going to look at their strength. Now the highest in the strength was a 4.3. And it states, I know how my team contributes to the organization's goals. Oh, they all know. They all know, the team knows their contribution to the organization. They know the goal. That was the highest average, 4.3. The next highest average is a 4.1. The goals for our team are clear. That's a 4.1. That's part of their strength. They all know what they're doing. They all know how to make their money. The next average is a 4.0. I have a clear understanding of my role on this team. That's a high average. They all know what they're doing and they know their place within the team. They know their place. They know the role that they play. The next highest average is a 3.9. Our team decision, I'm sorry, Bob, if you go ahead and turn the page, because I'm on the next page. Our team decision-making practices are effective. That is the 3.9. And then the last one is the 3.8. The mission of this team is clear. So we talking about their 5 highest strengths and their 3 lowest averages, which are the weaknesses. So to get a little bit more the quantitative data provided, we're going to look at right here. This is, they identified the weaknesses. Conflict among team members, perceived favoritism. Well, of course, when you are in a group like that, you're going to have those that outshine those more than the other, and they'll look favored upon. That's in every organization. When one person busts their butt compared to one person that doesn't do as much. I mean, it all depends on how you look at the favoritism, the conflict among the team members, okay? This, just like I said, is perceived as favoritism. Some people do well and some people don't. Then you got lack of trust, that others have my back. Well, they definitely said they wouldn't trust anybody in there because they don't believe anybody will have their back. And they're probably right because they don't trust any of them. Identified John as sole decision maker, no consensus. I don't think they have a problem with John doing a decision, but the problem is that they would like to go ahead on and help with the decision making. I don't think they would have a problem with that. And if John would act, I think they would do it. Team leadership problem, okay? And you're going to always have this within an organization because everybody is not going to be hands-on with the leader. And so there are some problems. There probably been some things that he said and did that they did not agree on. But he's the one that's making the decision. So to me, what he says goes. Lack of good communication, no sharing of others' work. Okay, definitely a weakness. This is what they identified as a weakness. Nobody communicates with each other. If there is a problem, they go their own separate ways to handle the problem without coming together as a team to help solve the problem. And then, of course, you have that cliquish group. You know, the ones that do help each other. The ones that do, hey, I got your back, you got mine. And if you're not part of that cliquish group, you're pretty much on your own. But then you have the ones that identify the strength. And the strengths are, you know, they perceive as high-performing team that's consistent with when they achieve their goals. Just like I said earlier, they know what they do. They know how to make their money. They know what the goals are. And just like I said earlier, not only are they making their salary, they're probably making bonus. I mean, because they exactly know when it comes to their job, they know what they're doing. And John is perceived as a great, he probably is perceived as a great leader, but he does have some negative team members with pessimistic attitudes. But just think of it like this. If he did not take the leadership role, that's probably why he does not go to them and try to get a consensus with the group about different problems. Because of those pessimistic attitudes that's within the group, you probably could never get anything done. So, you know, so we got John on both sides as a weakness and as strength. And now Barbara or Mindy is going to go into the next phase.
Want me to go next, Mindy?
Yes, please.
Okay. We approached this from a very different point of view than the other team did. We took this like we had no knowledge of any of these people, and we were working strictly off of data that had been presented to us. So we didn't do a whole lot of reading into it of what we thought it might be or what we thought it could be. We just looked at what the data told us quantitatively, and then went back and asked the questions of what does that mean, looking for the qualitative responses that people had to try and match up what they indicated quantitatively was a weakness with low averages, and then compared that to statements that were made. And that's how we came up with our two grids. So then we felt like that the best way to present this information to the team was through a team building retreat, and to try and approach the different issues that came out without necessarily saying, well, y'all said this and y'all said that, while they could sit around and try to figure out, well, who said that? I wonder who said that about John. I wonder who said that about so-and-so. But more of a, this group needs to come together and be a team, and that what they needed was more opportunities to talk about what teamwork looks like and to meet the needs of the individuals depending on where they stand on if they scored everything really high because they're happy, or if they scored like there was one person who scored just about everything low, or we're figuring it was one of the two people who scored 1 or 2 on just about every item, which indicates that there's some unhappy people. So we set up a team building retreat, and we just made up a time and a day. And this is what would be sent out to everybody on the team. They will be invited to all-day retreat at the Blue Ridge Assembly Conference Center. And it would be away from the office and away from all other distractions, and everybody would be expected to be there. And we set an agenda, which is typical of most things that you would do with a team building retreat, with an icebreaker, getting to know your teammates, what makes a successful team, which the parts and pieces are rules of engagement. First thing we would start with is how should you function as a team? What are the rules, the expectation? You can't be rude. You can't ignore everybody. You can't get up and walk away. And then how to behave in meetings, how to behave among your team members, and then to be reminded one more time that you're all in the same boat. So the team either succeeds or fails based on everybody on the team working together. Then talk a little bit about shared leadership, about trust and consensus and shared responsibilities, and how to interact with each other. Build trust through communication pathways. It came out from a lot of both quantitative and qualitative that there were communication issues, that everybody didn't know what everybody was doing, that John apparently would talk to some people but not other people on the team, or at least people felt like they were being neglected. Then talk about teamwork and task flow, how to work together as a team, how to use things like Google Docs to share information so that everybody has equal responsibility for contributing to the team. And then at the end, looking at what works for this team, and how we're going to put all this into practice. So we sort of set an agenda that was focused on building a team, assuming that everybody needed to be reminded, not only those people who are happy, but also those people who are very unhappy, that you are a team, you are successful as a team when you all work together as a team. But if you've got all this individual things going on behind it, that can make for very unhappy people. Okay, Mindy, you're on.
Okay, so to break down the agenda just a little bit more, what we looked at was an icebreaker, which is a 15-minute activity. Something as simple as you have a Post-it note with a famous person on the note, and you put it on the backs of everybody, and they can't look at the back, and they have to go around asking questions. So it's something that's fun, that helps people engage with each other to try to figure out who their back is. Again, rules of engagement. Keeping it basic, post-it notes, giant post-it notes, markers, actually writing them out so that all can see and having them posted for the entire day. Engaging in a low ropes activity course using the third-party vendor that is at the Blue Ridge Assembly. Something, if they're having problems interacting, first they have to have the rules of engagement, then they can go and try to do a team building exercise. If you don't set those rules of engagement first, then it's hard to go into the next level. The shared leadership, again, dry erase boards. Apparently I have a love of jumbo post-it notes because I have it all listed down. Trust building activities, again, dry erase board post-it notes. However, the last is actually completing a second evaluation of themselves, a self-evaluation where they're actually sharing, and then an electronic evaluation using a Likert scale, as well as some more sharing of opportunities. And that breaks down to look something similar to this. And what you would do is you, at the end of the day, you would give participants the sheet of paper with these questions on it and give them a few minutes to actually write down their answers. And then as a group, you would share those things with the rest of the group. So it's opening up the people. It's also helping each other understand more about one another when they're talking about the experiences, safety zones, what's the best thing that's happened. And then it also helps people to understand other people. So if you're doing a team building activity that requires, you know, magic carpet where you're standing on a carpet and everybody's in a very close confined space and you have somebody who's claustrophobic, that may be something to say, you know, that was really pushing my comfort zone. This is why. So it's helping the team actually interact. So when they're having this evaluation, it's giving them some more information about each other to make the team better. Another way that you can do this that is an open form of evaluation is you actually have a die, and you can buy a blank wooden one at a craft store, and then you actually write the activities on the die, and then people roll the die in the group, and they have to answer something about that activity. So it's another form of evaluation that is shared openly with the individuals that are there in the group. And then a second survey that would be anonymous would be sent out with the questions and Likert scale to help get an idea of where they were before and now where they're going after having some time together, and what they think could be some potential areas that need to be looked at for future trainings. When you look overall, is to get some more information about what is going well, what isn't going well, and how can we connect those together to try and train people to become better in those areas. Pat, did you have anything else?
No, that's it for me, but I'm curious about, you know, there were, you know, compared to this survey, there were 12 people on this survey, and you had a few, when I tallied up, you know, there were like 9 strongly agreed. There were 17 disagreed. You had 34 that agreed, and you had 24 that strongly agreed. But I guess what really bothered me was it was 31 that neither agreed nor disagreed. So what do you say about that group of people? They just didn't have an opinion. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with them. That's just, when it came to the strength, they had a problem in agreeing. But with anything else, they just didn't care. I mean, they had no comment. And to me, that's what neither agree nor disagree means. You just don't have no comment. So I'm just trying to figure out, would those type of people be Should we be worried about those type of people? I don't know. I just want y'all thoughts.
Yeah.
I think the majority of people, when they're trying to see themselves as others see them, if they feel strongly about something or they strongly disagree about something, they tend to go, at the upper limit or the lower limit. But when they don't want to stand out or they're not sure that their ideas are similar to everybody else's in the group, it's a group issue. They choose to go neutral because they're not sure how their friends answered, or they're not sure how so-and-so answered, and they sure as heck don't want to be in the same category with so-and-so. I think that is the power of being in a group, that people will tend to stay neutral unless they feel strongly about something one way or the other. And so in something like this, on a Likert scale like this, looking at the top numbers and looking at the bottom numbers is the key. I don't really think you can go, vertically down that list and count those. I don't think that data gives you anything worthwhile. Versus when you look at ones where nobody disagreed, which was the highest, 4.3, number 3. I know how my team contributes to the organization's goals. Nobody disagreed with that.
Right.
That's much more powerful than 5 people were neutral on our team meetings are effective. Well, that depends on what you mean by effective. And I'm not sure what you mean. Are you asking me if I like John or not? It's kind of like, I don't know how to answer that question, so I'm just going to go neutral. Because I don't want to make anybody mad. And I don't really care one way or the other what the answer is.
Okay, gotcha. Because when it came to the goals and stuff, the strengths were there, but with a lot of the other, questions, it just struck me as odd. But
Right.
cleared out something for me. Thank you.
Right.
Well, and there's the other thing is if they're engaged in a team building activity and a third party person is putting it on, the leader is actually going to be able to evaluate how the participants are participating in the group. Because when you'll see who takes the lead, who's the support person, who's giving the ideas. If you have a leader who's taking over, who's being overly, that's one way as a leader you can actually evaluate your staff and see where some of your areas are through activities like that, where it is an evaluation in a sense, but you're visually seeing it versus it's on paper.
Right. And plus, if you look at where they scored low, number 11, team members encourage each other to do their best. 6 people disagree with that. Well, the next question that you want to ask, which of course we can't because this is quantitative instead of qualitative, but the next question you want to ask is, well, are you encouraging anybody?
Right.
Or are you just waiting to be encouraged? And since I haven't been encouraged, I'm unhappy. Versus, the 4 who said, oh, well, I'm not really being encouraged, but then I'm not really encouraging anybody either. So it's kind of like a safe place to put your answer. Just in case you're the only one who answers that way, you don't want to be the outlier.
Right.
I mean, when we looked at all the stuff on program evaluation, one of the things you can do is look at the outliers. And if you look at the outliers, what they all strongly agreed with and what they all strongly, or the majority of people disagreed with, that gives you the parameters from which to work with, because the rest of it's going to go towards the mean, towards the middle.
From a academic standpoint, and this is one of the things that I've encouraged Dr. Hamilton and some of the other folks in our department at Gardner Webb, don't give a neutral choice. You should never work off a 5-point Likert scale. You should always work off a 4-point Likert scale. Strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree. You have to force a response. You can't let people ride the fence. Pat's exactly right. Biggest concern with the data is all these neutrals. And as Barbara just outlined, that's a bigger problem than being on one side of the fence or the other, because you just don't know.
Well, and one of the things that's a concern is we don't know how the survey was implemented, when it was implemented. Was it at the end of a shift and everybody was ready to go home before Christmas break? Or, because some people might have rushed through it, so you don't have information like that as well.
Well, what, and this is sometimes you make an ass out of you and me when you assume, but the assumption is when you get that many neutrals is that they don't believe there's any confidentiality at all.
Right.
There's no such thing as anonymity.
Right.
But they don't believe there's any confidentiality. That's why they all rode the fence. That's the data bears that out, that when you see that many neutrals, they don't want to answer one way or the other for fear of one side or the other stoning them. Barbara brought up that point. They don't want to be with that group and don't want to be with that one. And the safe choice is just to go down the middle because they don't feel like there's any confidentiality. That again speaks to technique and bias, though.
Right.
Or possibly that nothing's going to change.
Well, they certainly believe that. But here's a couple of points that I want to make. Always look at your hard numbers first. If this group is achieving their goals, if they're making their sales quotient, if they're making their test scores or doing whatever that they're doing, that's one thing. But to get back to Mindy's point, Mindy had an excellent, I like the low ropes, I like the team building activities. However, there's not a but, it's a however. What does Collins say about getting people on the bus? You got to make sure that, first of all, in staffing, remember program evaluation, staffing's number one. We started with that day one, we talked, and then I looked like a genius. Well, I looked like I knew what I was talking about when we got to chapter 1 on voice at the end, and it was, you're supposed to start with staffing. Well, didn't Dale tell us that to start with? Well, I read the book first. So.
Right.
Like I was smarter than the rest of you. I just read the book first. All right, so the notion here is you got to start with staffing. And what is it Collins always says? You got to make sure you get the right people.
Right people on the bus.
Right bus.
And we don't know if we've got the right people on the bus because we don't know what the actual outcomes are. Are they achieving their goals? Are they meeting their quotients or what? In whatever quantitative terms that they're measured on, we don't know if they're good, bad, or indifferent. That's the first thing we need to know. And if they're making their goals, then we start working on team building and all that. If we're not making our goals, maybe we don't have the right people on the bus, or maybe we don't have the right leader.
Right.
We have to look at John as well.
That's right.
And so Mindy came up with, I love the activity that she's got. And that's when you assume that you've got the people that you've got and there's nothing you can do to change them, that they're the right people, this is what you roll out. But your job as a program evaluator is staffing first. Do we have the right people? We don't have enough data here to do that. And so, both of these presentations are excellent because you did what you did with the data and you didn't assume data that wasn't there. Although I would like to know those things, we can't know those things. And so we shouldn't assume things in evidence that aren't there. And so both took what you had and did a great job with it. In the real world, our first thing would be if somebody called us in or if this was a situation we were presented with, first thing we'd say is, let's look at your numbers. Maybe we got the wrong leader. Maybe we've got the wrong leader, the right leader and the wrong people on the bus or vice versa. But we would have to make that determination first. But it's kind of, it's a big drain of time, money, and resources to try to build a team of people who aren't the right people to be on the team. Now, one of the things that goes back to see, we might have people who want to be there, but don't have the skill to be there.
Right.
Now, that's one of the things that I have run into in my career, more so than people just being unhappy. They might have been unhappy, but they were unhappy because they couldn't do the job. There's usually an underlying problem why they're unhappy. They don't have the skills to do the job. They have petered out. They're at a level above their competence level. That happens quite frequently. you know, that's an unfortunate part of this business is there's 12 people, 6 of them appear to be unhappy. It may be that they're unhappy because they're not any good. They can't keep up with the others.
Mhm.
I don't know. Again, I got to look at the data.
Yeah.
But you can't, when, you know, the first mistake that you make when you walk in is you start looking at qualitative first. We've gone over that. That's the wrong way.
Mhm.
That's the wrong end of the telescope, folks. Got to look at the hard numbers first. Then you look at your qualitative numbers. Don't ever assume that, you know, when they call you in about, you know, doing team building, that this is the team and this is what it needs to be and that everybody's good and everybody's confident and everybody's doing their job. Can't make that assumption either.
Right.
You know, you got to look at quality and quantity of staff
Mhm.
first. That's where you got to get started. And if it doesn't do any good for them all to be singing out the same songbook and singing Kumbaya around the campfire if 6 of them aren't any good.
Right.
Because if I'm the 6 that are good, I'm gonna be mad because you've tied these boat anchors around me. You've given me 6 people that aren't any good. I may be, and here's the thing: the people that may be unhappy are the good people
Right.
because they're tied to the ones that aren't very good.
Right.
So you got to be looking at performance numbers, at goals numbers, and you got to be looking at the real deal numbers. I love qualitative stuff. I'm not being mad. I mean, I have colleagues who do qualitative work all the time, and I respect what they do. It's not, but they're only to help you frame and put in context the hard numbers. And as Rusty started out with, and he's absolutely correct, this is soft data.
Right.
We call it quantitative, but survey is not it's not really quantitative. It's soft data. It's just people's opinion. We got to look at the real measures that are objective. You know, that there is a validated measure, like scale. You know, that we got to look at the validated measure data first. And if we do that, that will help us with our quantitative stuff.
Right.
As we begin to do interviews and observations and look at survey data, it helps put it in context. But I have, throughout my career, I have seen almost equal parts of half of a group mad that because they weren't very good and felt put upon, and conversely, I've seen half the group mad because they were good and they felt put upon and were angry because they were having to pull the weight of the rest of the bunch. You don't know which it is until you look at the hard numbers first. And then you'll get some idea of those things. It all goes back to what was the movie with Jennifer Aniston? Was it Office Space? They brought the efficiency experts in to do that, and they didn't look at the hard numbers, and they ended up with the slackest guys in the building being in charge and letting the good people go. It was a comedy. It was satire on corporate America, but it was absolutely the truth. When they came in, they didn't look at any of the hard data. What did they start with? They started with interviews.
Okay.
And it was hilarious. But it's a textbook example of how you do it wrong or how you do it backwards. And they were doing a parody. It was satire on corporate America that, you know, they do the wrong thing. And that was the whole idea. I believe that's Office Space, or I believe it's a Jennifer Aniston movie. She was the heroine and she wasn't the protagonist. But that ought to be required viewing for people going to do program evaluation. Start by interviewing staff. It's quite funny. But you should see that. All of a sudden the light kind of comes on as to, oh my God, that's what Dale was talking about. You can't do that, or oh, I see this, and how stupid was that? They do all the wrong things that you can do in program evaluation. They hit every note. They had a really good organizational theorist had to be their consultant for that movie, because they hit every note. And many of them, you got to watch it 2 or 3 times to catch them all. They do everything that you can do wrong. They do it, and it's a great movie for that purpose. All right. I apologize 1,000 times over for being late tonight and having difficulties, but let's look and see. Now, next Friday, what time are we going next Friday?
9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Excellent.
Okay about that.
All right. Hopefully they won't take Blackboard down and redo the certificates on Web Connect and do all that next week, where when I try to do Zoom, I have to go back in and redo my Zoom account like I did tonight, and that takes about 15 minutes. I have to get a new password and go through all that. So hopefully I'll take this same computer with me that's got the new certificates on it, so that next week I'll be remote from the beach, but I will. We won't be late next week.
Okay.
I appreciate everybody's time. I will see you all next Friday morning at 9 a.m. Everybody have a good holiday.
Thank you, sir. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I want to do
You guys enjoy
Bye,
your
y'all. Bye.
Did y'all want to do a walk
Wait.
through or not?
Yeah, go ahead.
Tell Rusty.